This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Today, the US and UK strike Yemen. Greece drafts a bill to legalise same-sex marriage, and a ceasefire is reportedly struck between a rebel alliance and the Myanmar military. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Friday the 12th of January 2024. Overnight last night, the United States and United Kingdom carried out airstrikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen. The combined force of aircraft struck a range of targets in Yemen in response to repeated attacks on international shipping in the Red Sea by the Houthi movement, officially Ansar Allah, which says it's retaliating against the Israeli military's actions in Gaza. US and UK forces reportedly struck the Yemeni capital Sana'a, the Red Sea port of Hodeidah, and the towns of Damar and Sada. A US and UK statement said the joint strikes were carried out with the support of the Netherlands, Canada, Bahrain and Australia. The strikes come after repeated demands by the United States and others for the Houthis to halt their attacks on international vessels in the Red Sea, demands that have so far gone unmet. The pressure for the US and its allies to respond was initially relieved in mid-December, when US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced Operation Prosperity Guardian, a multinational maritime force made up principally of naval assets from the US and UK, along with 7 other nations, with the goal of upholding the foundational principle of freedom of navigation and tackle the threats made by the Houthis. However, after the formation of this new operation, the attacks continued, spurring the US and allies to issue a final warning on January the 3rd, warning the Houthis that they will bear responsibility for the consequences should they continue to threaten lives, the global economy, and the free flow of commerce. Speaking after the joint US-UK strikes, a Houthi spokesperson said 73 strikes had killed 5 of their fighters, adding that it would not go without punishment or retaliation, and that the group would continue to target ships headed for Israel. While some US lawmakers have expressed support for the operation, others have expressed concern at the lack of congressional oversight or approval. Similarly, in the UK, the strikes were carried out without parliamentary approval, though before the operation, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak met with the House of Commons Speaker and opposition leader Keir Starmer, who has expressed his support for the strikes. Russia has accused the US and UK of complete disregard for international law, while Iran, which financially and militarily supports the Houthis, called the strikes a clear violation of Yemen's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Saudi Arabia, which had been fighting the Houthis for nearly the past decade, said it was monitoring the situation with great concern and called for restraint and avoiding escalation. We'll have a full video coming out about this over on the TLDR Global channel, so keep an eye out for that. There's more on the way, but be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to make the daily briefing part of your daily routine, or just search for us on your podcast app to listen along. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has made a surprise visit to Ukraine, where he's pledged £2.5 billion in military support, the UK's largest annual commitment to Ukraine, and an increase of £200 million on the previous 2 years. According to a UK government statement, at least £200 million of the assistance package will be spent on a major push to rapidly procure and produce thousands of military drones for Ukraine, including surveillance, long-range strike and sea drones, which will be the largest delivery of drones to Ukraine from any nation. On his visit to the country, Sunak said the UK will also not falter and will stand with Ukraine in their darkest hours and in the better times to come. Some officials, though, had reportedly been urging the Prime Minister to make a longer-term financial commitment to Ukraine that would send a stronger signal of British support. However, the commitment made was only for the 2024-25 financial year. As part of his trip to Ukraine, Sunak has also signed an agreement on security cooperation, which formalises a range of support the UK has been and will continue to provide for Ukraine's security. In other news, Greece's Conservative government has drafted a bill to legalise same-sex marriage, Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has said. In an interview, he said, "What we will legislate is marriage equality, which means the elimination of any discrimination based on sexual orientation. It's not something revolutionarily different from what applies in other European countries." The move has earned the support of the left-wing opposition, but Prime Minister Mitsotakis faces stiff opposition from the influential Greek Orthodox Church and the more conservative part of his own party. Mitsotakis admitted that I and all those who believe in this legislation must convince our parliamentarians and subsequently those who may still have a negative stance. Greece has recognised same-sex unions since 2015, but the LGBTQ+ community has said that Greece remains behind other European countries on LGBTQ+ rights by not legalising same-sex marriage. While the draft legislation has won the backing of the left-wing main opposition Syriza party, the party's leader has criticised it for not going far enough on same-sex parental rights. An update now on the situation in Myanmar, where a rebel alliance has agreed to a ceasefire with the ruling military junta after a months-long uprising. It's come following talks mediated by China, which was concerned about potential trade disruption on its southern border due to the fighting. Myanmar's military junta took power after a successful coup in 2021, but has recently been unsettled by attacks from armed ethnic minority groups, which have surged over the past few months. The attacks were backed by a pro-democracy civilian-led government and threatened to severely destabilise the junta's grip on power. More than 300,000 people have been displaced due to the violence, and more than 2 million overall since the coup, according to the UN. The conflict has also seen Myanmar police and soldiers surrender to rebel groups or flee across the border into India. Under the ceasefire agreement, rebel groups will stop attacking enemy camps or towns, and the military junta will stop airstrikes, bombardment, and the use of heavy weapons. Both sides have pledged not to harm residents at the Chinese border. And finally, we end with the news that archaeologists have discovered evidence of a large ancient city in the Amazon, which changes the way we see Amazonian cultures. Located in eastern Ecuador's Upano River Valley, the archaeological site contains houses and plazas connected by a network of roads and canals, and has been mapped thanks to excavations and LiDAR technology. A co-author of the study said, "Most people picture small groups, probably naked, living in huts and clearing land. This shows ancient Amazonian people lived in complicated urban societies." The lead researcher said, "This is older than any other site we know in the Amazon, with the city built around 2,500 years ago and occupied for up to 1,000 years, with a population in the tens of thousands." As we step into 2024, many of us are contemplating our New Year's resolutions, always looking to improve ourselves and learn more about the world around us. And while our content is always a good starting point, a lot of stuff we talk about can seem pretty complicated, especially when we dive into analytics and detailed data. But luckily there's a fun and easy way to learn more, which also doesn't cost thousands of dollars or take years and years of schooling. That's because Brilliant is the best way to learn maths, data science and computer science interactively. And the good thing is, it doesn't take long to learn either. These complex topics are broken down into small but accessible chunks, designed around your busy schedule. Even just a few minutes a day can help you with accumulating new knowledge over time in a fun and engaging way. As time goes on, you'll also get used to that empowering feeling of learning too, because Brilliant isn't just about memorization and lectures. Brilliant teaches you by doing, using active learning techniques to teach you the principles behind otherwise quite complex subjects, and ensuring you actually understand what's going on. So whether you want to brush up on your basic maths skills, improve your employment prospects, or just have another New Year's resolution for 2024, you can check out everything Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days by going to brilliant.org/TLDR. Plus, the first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. Thanks for your support.